Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green and this is Wise Woman Television, and today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on how to manifest your highest potential in 2021. These might even be considered messages from 2021, messages from the future in order to bring about your highest, most aligned path. So that is what we will be doing today. We have 4 card piles. I do want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for being here, being a part of this family, for your likes, your subscribes. Every single one counts. I also want to let you know I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching sessions and long-term programs to support you in your life, in your work, and on your spiritual path. There are ways to support this channel if you find you are inspired to do so. You can find all of those details below. And from here, I will go ahead and put up a picture of your 4 card piles to choose from today. And that way you can intuitively choose, see where you are led to choose your pile. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I am using a brand new deck today, so I may take a little bit of time or a little bit of space with each of the cards if required to connect with the energy more intuitively. So just giving you a heads up, it's a beautiful card deck. I'm so thrilled. I got it for my birthday. So I will be, of course, as always, indicating that in the description. That way those who are curious about which cards I'm using, they know exactly what I'm using. All right, so card pile 1. How can you manifest your fullest, highest potential in 2021? Messages from 2021. So there's something here about being ultimately true to yourself. But the beauty about this too is it's almost like this 2 sides to the same coin kind of scenario, where it's like there is one side of you that has this individuality, that has this personality, that is a result from where you came from, that houses your conditioning and your belief systems, your morals and values and ethics and codes and all of that. And then there's the other side of the coin that is unindividuated, that is eternal, that is timeless, that is a soul that comprises eons of ancient truths and wisdom, and does not rely really on that personality or a particularity. And so what this is speaking to is, I feel like, a twofold or 2-part message. One of them being, the first message being about really being true to who you are and really owning who you are as a personality, as who you walk as in this world, like just owning who you are, owning your strengths, owning your weaknesses, like really owning your walk in the world. A lot of what we consider weaknesses aren't weaknesses at all. They are just another facet of who we are, another facet of our personality. And in every single trait and quality lies a gift. Now, I know not everyone subscribes to the belief that balance is possible, right? Sorry, my boot is really uncomfortable here on the floor, and so I'm trying to find comfort despite wearing shoes today. I normally do not, but it is freezing and I do not have central heat. I'm in Florida. We're used to different weather, so it's 35 degrees-ish the past couple of days, which is wonderful for Christmas, but a lot for me, and I love the cold, but I just need some boots. All of that to say, you have an opportunity here to really trust who you are and to trust all parts of who you are, all facets of who you are, and to just I was looking at the time there, and I do apologize for some of the breaks in today's message, is to just own who you are, right? But also recognize that there is strength even in weakness. There are gems even in the traits that you might believe to be something that you should judge or suppress or hide. So I'm going to offer an example because I think it's important here. So as a coach, I tend to speak a different kind of language, a different kind of spiritual wisdom than most people out there. There's quite a saturated market, at least in terms of 3D, when it comes to coaches who primarily operate online and spirituality and coaching and personal development and so on and so forth. And many of them teach the same model. Many of them teach from the same source. They learn from their mentors, and they learn from their mentors, and they learn from their mentors. And I tend to operate very distinctly, meaning while I work with mentors and have for years and years and years, from shamanic practitioners to coaches and business coaches, I tend to speak a different language, and I tend to get most of my wisdom from myself, from my own contemplation, from my own meditations, from my own experiences. And what I have found is a lot of what I teach and a lot of what I subscribe to is very different from what most people subscribe to. So if I didn't know any better, and in those moments that I am feeling vulnerable and that I am feeling weak and I'm questioning even myself, I might say to myself or believe for a moment that I'm maybe not good enough, or I'm not as qualified as everyone else, even though I'm usually actually more qualified because I have education, training, plus that personal experience and a decade of a plus of spiritual work. All of that to say, this is my inner critic, right? That's telling me something is off or something is wrong, or because I think differently, because I speak differently, right? All of that to say, and the whole point of that story is sharing that my journey isn't to discard that. Okay, it's to own that. It's to own that and even use that in my work, use that in my messaging, use that to really connect with the people who are meant to work and walk with me. So that's how it's supposed to work. And yet we tend to, as humans, allow our inner critic to take over, our prior conditioning, and just a history of pain and wounding to have the final word and to believe that there's something wrong with us. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, first of all, card pile 1, but also the primary message here being to really own the individuality, but also have some distance with that personality, right? So again, remember I was talking about the two sides to the coin. So 2021 is asking you to really own who you are, but also be able to withdraw from that and see it as at a distance and objectively look at yourself to be able to walk with more flexibility, or continue to walk with flexibility if you find you are already quite flexible, meaning you're not strong-holding those beliefs that might be limiting you in some way, or you're not strong-holding who you are or what you believe you must do, which actually prevents you from experiencing something that's even greater or more profound than something your human mind could possibly imagine, right? So there's beauty in recognizing both sides of this, recognizing who you are as an individual, really owning all of that, walking with that awareness of your own power and with gratitude for who you are, and also holding that lightly, holding that gently, holding that flexibly, so that whatever wants to come through for you by grand intelligence, by life itself, is supported to do so. So that's your first message from 2021, how to manifest your highest and fullest potential. Now, there is an opportunity here, though, card pile 1, what's coming through is to let go a little bit more, meaning you don't have to do it all yourself. You don't have to control everything or even know everything. That, assuming as much or operating from that place of I have to control this and I have to work really hard for this, or I have to make this happen, or I have to do it by myself, those kinds of mindsets perpetuates not only that sort of standard issue capitalism belief system where everyone's working really hard and on the hamster wheel to barely get by, that whole survival mode. Not only does it perpetuate that, it also perpetuates dysfunction and a lack of health and well-being and in your experience, card pile 1, and for anyone who operates from that place. So there is an opportunity in 2021 to let go of the wheel a little bit and to allow not only others to help you, but also God/Great Spirit, Cosmos, Universe, Goddess to support you, to lead you, to show you the way. Not feeling like you have to step forward and really lean in and own every single moment and that it's all going to come from you. Finding that really nice balance, just like we talked about in card pile 1, of just balancing both sides of that coin, owning your personality, but also realizing your true self, your soul, something that is eternal and limitless and not defined by one unique personality or any particular belief system. And card pile 2 is very much that balance too of, yes, owning your own full power and what you're capable of, and making room for people to help you, making room for you to feel and be supported, making room for God, Great Spirit to lead you, to support you. There's an opportunity here to let go a little bit more, and what that's going to support is, again, that greater flexibility, that greater, again, that lack of that stronghold or that really intense grasp on something. When we hold on really tightly, it can be hard to then produce or to create what we really want. And even if we manage to do so, it doesn't feel good on the journey, and it doesn't even feel that good when it comes to us. I've experienced many a manifestation that I controlled and manipulated and made happen. And while many of those, some of them were meaningful, well, all of them were meaningful, not all of them were enjoyable or fulfilling or even satisfactory, because again, it was done through a lot of work and efforting and micromanaging and trying to make things happen. And sometimes this is a very subtle influence. Sometimes this is just the part of you that wants you to get up and go when you could sit still. The part of you that comes up with another task when you've actually already completed your tasks for the day. You know, it doesn't always come across in the ways that I was sharing in terms of my own experience or even the other things that were coming through. Sometimes it's a little bit more subliminal. So you might want to keep a lookout, card pile 1, for those times where you tend to get into the thinking mind or the rational and logical linear mind, the party that's very masculine, that A goes to B, which produces C, and recognize there's a whole world out there of energy that doesn't subscribe to linearity, if that's a word, or logistics or whatever in terms of practical reality. So it's finding that really beautiful balance of both honoring your own personal power and what you're capable of, but also knowing and then allowing yourself to lean back, to withdraw just enough to be supported. How can you feel support if you never lean back further enough or farther enough for someone to hold you, for someone to catch you? How can you ever be supported if you're unwilling to be vulnerable? So there is a message here about flexibility, vulnerability, letting go, leaning back, allowing support, receiving, letting yourself be supported. So 2021 would say recognize both sides of yourself. Also, allow yourself to let go, allow yourself to be supported, allow yourself to receive support. And then it would also talking about really trusting the things that come up that seem like they are obstacles or molehills or something that you have to like a hurdle that you feel like you have to overcome, and realize and recognize that is all serving you. There's an opportunity here to really take notice of even the things that seem like mishaps or misfortunes, or are more often than not bringing you exactly what you need to get what you want. Now, this doesn't mean that we want to go out there and intend and welcome for every single, again, mishap, mistake, or haphazard situation. Well, absolutely not. But again, there's that balance coming through, balancing both sides of that coin. And that keeps coming up for you, card pile 1, which is a really interesting thing, because I've never quite experienced it in this way, where it's like, yes, there is the opportunity to, it's that matter of welcoming what is here and embracing the moment as it is, because once something's already manifested, once something's already here, there's not really much we can do about it. So we just have to control what we can control, manage what we can, and trust what's happening, trust ourselves to navigate it, trust what's being brought to our plate, trust what's being brought to our table, and recognizing too that there's always an opportunity. There's especially always a growth opportunity. Abundance comes in many forms, and it doesn't always come with a bow on top and look very pretty. Again, we often get what we need to get what we want, and we learn through quote unquote earn. We are earning self-actualization in the physical form, and not that we aren't lovable or worthy as we are without having to lift a finger, because we absolutely are. But in the physical realm, God, Great Spirit, Universe, Cosmos, Goddess tends to work through our hands and through other people. And so again, there's this balance of course, intending for the highest possible outcome and setting our intentions for the highest possible outcome. And the flip side of that being welcoming adversity and challenges as they arise, trusting that flow, trusting what's coming through, and looking for the gem, looking for the pearl. What is it within this adversity or this challenge or this struggle or whatever it is you're experiencing that can be realized? How can this be transmuted? How can this serve your vision? How is it serving your vision, right? So there's this opportunity to really trust what's coming up for you and use it for good, and trust it, not letting every single or any detour like throw you off path. And this doesn't feel like some big mighty tower moment energy. That's not at all what's coming through. If it was going to be a tower moment or something, it would show, right? That would be the oracle or the tarot card that's here. It's just saying, maybe even not turning molehills into mountains, not putting a lot of your focus on those things when they come, and just recognizing these little molehills as a part of life, that there are ups and downs and big and small moments and everything in between, and that even those difficulties or challenges or whatever it is that arises or that arise in our life, even those can serve us, and they often do when we let it, when we frame it that way, and when we acknowledge that, and when we use it. So that's the other message that's coming through. Yeah. So the final piece here, Radical Curiosity. We're getting that same vibe here for the final card. And this is a new deck, and I know I introduced it to you, but I really love this, and I'm just really appreciating the beauty of these cards. But again, what is it called when not assuming something, not assuming you know a book by its cover, okay? There's something here about not assuming something based on what it looks like. We already got that from the third row of cards that we just went through. But there is something about staying curious, leaning into curiosity, that there's more there for you. Like when something happens, right, we have that opportunity to either react or respond. And that reaction comes from that place of that instinctive part of us that wants to, fight, flight, or freeze, right? Immediately run away, or, so we can get into that kind of, again, that survival mode, that crisis mode where we immediately, fight or flee or freeze. And what this is saying is more of that responding with curiosity, leaning in, taking a look. What is going on here, right? This reminds me of someone who's trying a food for the first time. Some people, they tend to respond more instinctively, right? Or emotionally, and they see something that maybe looks a little bit unusual or maybe unsatisfactory or something, and they're immediately like, oh, they wince. They're like, I want nothing to do with that. They won't even test it out. They won't even try it. They want to run away, or they want to, waiter, something new here, and manifestations that would be, I don't want that, I want this, right? Immediate judgment, no thank you, send it back, right? We tend to be like that. We can be anyway, when we're operating from black and white and duality kind of thinking as a human, and yet there's this opportunity that says, I'm going to take a look at this. I'm going to smell it. I'm going to take a look. I might, give it a little taste, give it a whirl. And I'm really going to see what it might have to offer me. Like being willing to lean in, to get curious and to see what's there. Again, because there's usually, if not always, a pearl, a gem. There is something there for you. And any little hiccup and any little hurdle and any kind of thing that seems like it's detouring you or thwarting you or throwing off progress, it very well is the thing that's actualizing what it is that you want. It's actualizing not only you, but your path, but your purpose, but that highest potential. So I know we got that. These are all the cards that I've pulled for everybody else, but I do want to pull a final card, because as a reader, when I listen to readings, I don't ever like it to end with just like, oh, there might be little hurdles, and go ahead and trust them and recognize that they're supporting your highest good. Good luck to you. I'd like to get a little bit more here. Yeah. So you're just getting the same message though. So I did try pulling 2 more clarifier cards for you, pile 1, and it's again, really owning your path, walking your path, owning what comes to you, defending to the end the worthwhile, as I've heard it said before in other cards. But this one is Eternal Gatekeeper. Acknowledge, assert, and protect what is right for you. So again, no matter what, staying the course, no matter what, seeing it through, no matter what, recognizing that what comes is serving. No matter what your human mind tends to see, whatever limitations come up for you, that's all based in the past anyway, in old conditioning. Are you willing to open, remain curious, and accept what's here, and be able to receive the gift that's available in learning strength, and learning commitment, and learning perseverance, and learning flexibility, right? Because we tend to learn those things through contrast, things that aren't exactly meeting our highest vision. And how often are our highest visions even coming into realization? Let's be real. It usually happens over the course of the life, not tomorrow, although it can happen tomorrow, right? But my point is that more often than not, we are learning / earning our actualization. We'll experience many successes over the course of our lives. And the message that's really hitting home for you, card pile 1, is recognizing all the pieces that are coming into place and all the forces of the universe, you included, that is bringing about your highest potential. And recognizing that even though there are things that you might not think are your big success or your big wins or whatever it is that you're seeking, know that it's serving you and it's bringing you to exactly where you want to go. All right? So thank you, card pile 1, for watching. I do look forward to seeing your feedback below in the comments. I want to let you know I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching sessions to support you in your life, in your work, and your spiritual path. And I will see you next time. Hello and welcome. Card pile 2, this is your reading. I do have a new light for my evening readings, which I rarely do. That way we have beautiful light. I do not have it set up yet. So you'll have some shadows and such happening, but I will have that shortly in the near future for ongoing readings. All right, so card pile 2, messages from 2021. And this is about how to manifest your highest potential in 2021. All right, so there's an opportunity here. Releasing those limitations that you've set for yourself, those beliefs that hold you back. And what are those beliefs that make you feel that hold you back. They're the beliefs that feel bad, the beliefs that don't feel right, the beliefs that don't feel expansive, the beliefs that don't make you feel good, the beliefs that tell you that you can't have it or you can't do it or you won't have it. Those are all limiting beliefs. You have an opportunity here, card pile 2, to experience what it is that you want for yourself, but it's going to require you to untether yourself to your belief in limitation or your subscription to your own limitations, to sort of falling in line with what you believed as a child or saw happen as a child or what was internalized as a child, right? And then, of course, over the courses of our lives, we tend to have those same belief systems affirmed, and then so it all seems real. Here's the thing, if there's something that you want to experience, you have to give yourself permission to experience it. You have to be willing to let go of what you knew to experience what you've never known. And so there's an opportunity here for you, card pile 2, to really let go of those self-imposed limitations, of any kind of belief or even value systems that aren't supporting you anymore. And again, how do you know if you're not being supported by your belief systems? If you're saying you want something and there's something in the way of it that is no longer working for you. That has expired. That limitation then has expired. And so if you want to experience a greater range of possibilities, if you want to experience more potential, you have to be willing to let go again of what you have known in order to experience what you don't yet know, because you haven't experienced it. Now, a lot of people, and what I even like to do when I offer readings, is I do like to bring it down to earth. I don't want this to be something where it's like, okay, well, she tells me to do that, but how do I do that? Now, of course, I do offer personal readings for that too, but I do like to, again, bring as much of a grounded approach as possible as I can to my readings. And so what's coming through here at this time is recognizing first and foremost that you get to give yourself permission to experience what you want. That's number one. Number two is starting to take notice when you're limiting yourself. And how are you going to know and notice again? It's because it doesn't feel good. It feels quote unquote bad. You're not able to experience the results that you want. You're recognizing a difference between what you're receiving, what you're manifesting, and what it is that you actually want. That's where you start seeing some of those limitations pop up for yourself. And then the final response is starting to make new choices in alignment with what it is you want, creating as much flexibility within yourself. We can't force flexibility. We can't force ourselves to untether ourselves from old beliefs, but we do have the key to unlock those handcuffs. Like we've had the key all along. And so you do have that opportunity. You can give yourself that permission. You start to see and take notice of all the ways that you limit yourself. You're just taking notice. You're bringing that flexible attention / awareness to it. You're not judging it or saying how bad you are, how wrong you are, and all that stuff as best as you can, right? Creating that space of that neutral witness. And then you're going to take new and different action that's in alignment with what you actually want. Because what's going to happen over time is you're going to be able to experience results that you want, outcomes that you want, manifestations that you want. And then you're going to start creating more evidence for a new belief system that serves your higher potential. So that's the invitation for you, card pile 2. Let's see what else is coming through here. Now I am using a different, a new Oracle deck, which I got for my birthday, which is today. So I want to let you know I might take a pause a little bit longer than I normally do with my cards that I know very well, because I'm still learning the energy of these cards. So this one is responding, not reacting. The only control we have is in how we respond to the hand we are dealt. Completion. So, and this is my integration card too. So let me show you so you can see the images as well. All right, so in 2021, how to manifest your highest potential, card pile 2. A lot of this, again, is learning how to respond with intelligence. And I even feel like for some of you, it's responding with emotional intelligence. It's integrating your emotions, because again, there's something here about integration that wants to happen that either has been kind of waiting here on the sidelines for you to welcome it, but there is something here, there's a transformation that's awaiting you, that's like literally sitting right here and is just waiting for you to kind of extend your attention and allow it to be a part of your world. But what that, and again, for most of you or many of you, I'm feeling it's emotions, but we'll see what else comes up as we go. But there's this opportunity here to really respond with discernment, and really just respond not with, again, the history of what has been or what you've known or what you think it should be or what has worked before. Again, that's all past stuff. That's all a result of your old belief system. So if you don't want to be operating based on your old belief system, you're going to have to do things differently. So what is it saying? And actually it's giving you the instructions as to how to clear these limits. It's being able to look at something objectively / with discernment, see something with a more neutral gaze, and make a decision from that place. But there's also this message, or I should say, and of really incorporating all parts of yourself in this. So there's this even body wisdom or body instinct or intuition that wants to come through your upcoming decisions in 2021 that has to do with really bringing yourself into full alignment. So all parts of you on board. So right, normally we all have like chatter in our minds from a million different voices, dialogues that were internalized as children, and then we have parts of us that are subscribing to and aligning with our highest potential. We have parts of us that are still defaulting to old patterns, right? All the things, so many pieces and parts of us that go, all these characters in a play. A play doesn't work very well when all the characters aren't going by the script, okay? So we want to give them a little bit of a script, and what that is for you is that integration piece. So it's allowing all parts of you to have a say. It's really, again, looking at, I have to cough 1 minute. So it's looking at when you're in the opportunity or you're having an opportunity to make a decision or a choice, it's recognizing how you feel and letting that inform you, recognizing the vision that you're moving toward and letting that inform you, seeing how your body feels and letting that inform you, and really just bringing all these layers and pieces of a puzzle into unison with each other, into a united front, really allowing some greater integration to happen here. So you're looking at the part of you that is not wanting to move forward because it's scared, and you're just acknowledging that, and you're saying, okay, there's that part of me that's scared, got it. And then you're looking at the inner critic that is saying all these things as to why you can't do it or why you're not good enough, and so on and so forth. And you say, okay, mental chatter, I'm hearing you, you're saying I'm not good enough, right? And with these things, you're not saying, agreeing to them, like, yo, yes, that's right. You're just acknowledging their presence, as opposed to denying them, avoiding them, suppressing them, and otherwise keeping them unconscious, when they'll continue to run amok, right, and throw you off even if you don't realize it. And then you're taking notice of your emotion, you're noticing some discomfort, and you're like, okay, I am taking notice of you discomfort, and I'm seeing that you're there, and you might even ask some questions. What would you like to reveal? What is it you'd like to express? And just doing whatever kind of internal dialogue, and I tend to use main questions are not off the top of my head right now, but that's because I'm channeling from a different energy. But all of that to say, there are questions you can ask yourself about these emotions and see if there's anything that wants to be revealed to you in terms of guidance. So sometimes people with depression, they assume that what their depression is saying is to lie in bed and, to eat ice cream for 30 days, when I tend to use that as an example, when often our depression is actually saying, move, help clear this energy, help process this energy. So allowing all parts of yourself to have a say here and bringing all those parts to the table like a buffet, right? You have this part here and this part here and this part here, and everyone has their say. And then you, as your final self, like you're the one who gets to have the final say. You're the driver of this bus. You get to look at all these pieces and say, they're all here. I see what you want, right? It even reminds me of a parent with 5, 6, 8 kids at the table. Susie, you want peanut butter and jelly, and Billy, you want green beans, and Johnny, you want pizza. And it's putting this all on the table and then making that that executive decision for yourself. But you're going to do it from a place of responding, where you're not feeling limited or being limited by any of these things that are from their past, and instead you're making a choice from inner freedom. Okay. Yeah. We already said this. This is what's beautiful. This has already come up in your reading. The unknown. What does it say here? Knowing the unknown. And I think for you, card pile 2, it means owning the unknown. Yeah, recognizing the unknown. But also it's like this. There's freedom in the unknown. The unknown is what's going to bring you into potentials you haven't yet known. Well, that's what you want, right? If you've been making $40,000 a year for the past 8 years and you want to make $80,000 a year, you're not going to make $40,000 or $80,000 doing the same thing you were doing before, right? That's just a random kind of middle-class American question that might be, or example of kind of what the Western world tends to focus on, right? Their salary, the big promotion, how much money am I going to, all that stuff. So I'm giving an example that tends to land for most people, that is also understood by most people, but your potential can look different. It can be whatever it is that you want. But there's this thing here, or this message here, of remembering that everything that you've already known, those are now limits, because that's expired. That's the cocoon that the butterfly is now leaving. So you have to, again, be willing to see what works for you. How do you know if it's limiting or not? Is it something that is giving way to that higher potential that you seek? And if it's not, then it has to be a limit. Okay? So, again, that message here of recognizing your mind doesn't have all the final answers. It's going to maybe demand that it does, or dictate that you do, or ask a lot of things of you that aren't even possible, right? To have some kind of certainty, to have all the answers, to know how all this turns out, to know the way all of these things, right? Our mind tends to operate, but again, that's all from that limitation, that limiting side of ourselves that is often, again, from childhood, that was internalized by our parents, and all of our wounding and those kinds of experiences that we aren't even, we certainly don't want to align with more of those. So it's like recognizing where limitation is coming from, and when the mind has a lot to say, it's coming from that previous identity, that old role, that limitation-based role, and you want to step out of that. So recognize that you're really not going to know. You're just not. And you're certainly not going to be able to hold on to old limiting beliefs or old limitations at all if you want to experience something you haven't experienced before. Okay, so there is something that you have been working on or wanting, card pile 2, and that's very clear here. And the message for 2021 then is freeing yourself, giving yourself permission to free yourself. We've talked about how to do that. Because what does this card say? It says presence of absence. Hold what is absent in the presence of your love. Then we have emotional intensity. So what this means for me, and it's interesting too because we had emotional integration come up earlier. So for some of you, there has been some maybe even upset and disappointment that the thing that you want hasn't happened yet, or just confusion and upset and, well, how the heck does it happen, and how do I make it happen because I've done all these things already, all that stuff. And again, it's pointing you to belief systems, old identities, the ways that you've been subscribing to limitations, and all that stuff has to be freed so you can experience what you don't know. And that's the whole thing, is being willing to step into the realm of the unknown to experience what you haven't experienced before. That has to be the first step. Saying yes, giving the green light. And instead of, again, then holding on for dear life to even our limitations, but also being like, I want this, I need this, whatever outcome I've worked so hard for, instead of kind of worrying about it and ruminating over it and being like, this should be mine, right? Bringing a lot of negative energy to it. We're going to put that in quotes because I don't necessarily believe in positive and negative. What I mean by negative is it's not working. It's not actually bringing about what you want. So if it's not working, we can try something else. And the opportunity here is seeing it with love. Holding yourself in love, holding your limitations in love, right? We talked about the big buffet table earlier and kind of looking at all the different voices that are happening inside of you. All of that is love, right? You're Jesus with the disciples, man, right? You're stepping in, you're willing to love it all, you're willing to see it all, and from that place and from that prowess, making choices, making decisions to bring about your higher destiny. And so you're going to be seeing all of that with love. And even though I do feel for some of you, or for many of you, it's really continuing to hold your vision in love and not getting too strained or disillusioned or discouraged because it hasn't happened yet, and then kind of putting a lot of, like, again, that negative energy toward it. Instead, continuing to see that with love, even create a practice around bringing more love to it, whether it's attending to your vision every day, bringing your why, into your day, into many of your decisions. But last but not least, bringing love to those limitations and those old parts of you that did serve you at one time, but aren't serving this new reality that is unknown because you haven't experienced it before. So those are your messages from 2021, card pile 2. This is how you're going to manifest your highest potential in 2021. So I would love to hear your responses. Do share your story, your insights, your feedback below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And then I do want to let you know, as I always do, that I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching sessions to support you in your life, in your work, in your spiritual path. So thank you, card pile 2. I'm just checking the time here. All right, card pile 3. Card pile 3. So we're talking about how to manifest your highest potential in 2021. So what are the messages essentially from 2021 to sort of bring you into this higher potential, this greater destiny? Okay, so you're spending a lot of time in your mind, card pile 3. And I hope I said card pile 3. I do mess up my card piles sometimes. See the cards here, how they're representing two totally different energies. So card pile 3, you tend to spend a lot of time in your mental sphere, in your mind, kind of analysis, overthinking, ruminating, worrying, just thinking, and you just spend a lot of time there. And I really feel like there's an opportunity for card pile 3 in 2021 to really enter the body. Really enter the body. And there's this really beautiful open invitation, card pile 3, for you that's like, you've done it all. Like, you've done it all from that place of your mental sphere. Like, you've tapped it all out. Whatever you could have created from the mental sphere, you've done it. Whatever you could have created from your body alone, like your physicality, but just like workhorsing it, you've done it. right? There's nothing more to come from that. You've tapped that out too. There's an opportunity card, pile 3, for you specifically to really bring yourself fully grounded into your body to experience all of the riches and abundance that's here, to really experience earth, to experience yourself in a living, breathing body, to really connect with like that cellular level, but inside to out, nature, all of the abundance and the riches that are here for you. There's something here about that beautiful feminine abundance, that feminine energy of earth and spirit and nature, and just really deeply connecting to the human body and everything that's here that you're not going to find in the mental plane. The mental plane, while beautiful and offers so much, is relatively dry in a lot of ways, meaning it's just, you know, it can be sterile and mechanical and disjointed, especially when we're working it really hard and we're using it as our primary compass and our primary gauge and all of that. When we're working from the mind, things can get very dry and feel very empty, and things just aren't fun anymore. And it's not going to be fun when that's where you're living. So there's this beautiful invitation to come home now. Come home, you know? Join us here. Join the living. You know, instead of living that life like a zombie, which can feel like a zombie when you're just in the mind, and it can, like, then of course you're not really feeling as much. You're going through the motions, and you might be doing this to protect yourself from pain or whatever it is. And that's all understandable. But again, you've tapped out all the potentials that were going to happen for you from the mind, and using your body sort of like a slave as opposed to fully entering it and being there with it and having it be a partner on the journey. It's like you've already done everything you could possibly do. So now here's your chance for a new chapter, a new era where you fully enter your feminine power, your creative power, your feminine edge even. You've entered the body. So there's some beautiful, again, I keep saying beautiful, but it feels like that. That's why I'm sharing it that way, and I keep using that word. But this is where your next potential, your next era lies. It's going to be in the body, from the body, through the body. Okay, so card pile 3, what else is here? Okay, so many of you might have left your body to a degree. Like, obviously you guys all didn't leave your body. You're here, right? You haven't ascended and moved on to the afterlife. But a lot of you have sort of disconnected or disassociated in some ways as a result of previous pain, previous wounding, trauma. But a number of things have happened to you. Now, for many of you, I'm feeling like it was the past 3 years or so. For some of you, it could be a little bit more, 5 years. For some of you, 2 or 1. But for most of you, it's right at 3 years. And not that some of you very well may have experienced a lot of challenges over the course of your life. But as a result of this pain and this difficulty and the strife and the challenge and even the suffering for some of you, you disconnected from your body and decided to live in the realm of the mind. You thought this was going to give you all the answers that you needed, all the certainties that you needed. It was going to solve problems, and it was going to eliminate them before they happened, and it was going to tell you exactly what to do in the face of problems so that you can prevent these really bad outcomes or worst case scenarios that have already happened before. And if the other shoe drops, then I got to be ready. So it's like you've entered the mind as a sanctuary, like expecting it to be the sanctuary that you seek and expecting it to safeguard you from all the things that you believe are scary or terrifying or difficult or whatever in the human experience or in your human life. But in fact, it has led to, you know, more suffering, but not in the way of suffering like we tend to think about it. It's like, I'm trying to give words to the experience, but it's like you found that there was no fulfillment there. You have found that there's no fulfillment there. That sure, maybe it eliminated some problems and you were able to like live in avoidance a little bit and kind of solve everything in advance and micromanage this and that and protect this and protect that. Like there was all this protection happening and safeguarding and safekeeping. So maybe that worked. We would never know because we don't know what life was like had you not done that, right? However, it also robbed you of fulfillment. It's robbed you from the deep inner joy, fulfillment, and bliss that you so desperately seek. And whether you feel desperate or not, right, that's just the word that I'm using because it's like you ache for it, you long for it, you want it. This is like something that is so core for you, fulfillment. And yet you haven't experienced it, and it might have been a while since you have. And what's being guided or offered here is that it was because of a lot of this pain or difficulty or challenge, and in some ways you decided that it was not safe here, it was not safe in a body, and that you had to take up residence in your mental sphere, and that was going to keep you safe, and it was going to be proactive about problems and be able to solve problems when they came. And so there was really no use for the body. It was only going to bring you more pain and suffering. But by believing that, subscribing to that, living that way, you ended up finding that there's been no joy or lack of joy right? There's been a lack of full presence or fullness in your life and experience. You've been unable to experience your greater potentials because your greater potentials, feel fulfilling or meaningful, and you haven't been able to experience that feeling. Whether those really great experiences were happening or not, you weren't connected to the body well enough to feel it, to truly enter and embrace the experience, to then find joy. So there's an opportunity to bring these two together with this card, integrating the mind and body once more. And there's also a sense of wholeness here with the clouds and center, where it's like bringing everything on board, the mind, the body, the spirit. It's all on board. It all gets to be a part of the experience, that you're not looking at anything or avoiding or suppressing any one thing. It all gets to be on board. Everything gets to have a say, and that you all get to sort of walk on the path of your higher potential. We don't have to say, okay, well, we're throwing out the mind then, the baby out with the bathwater, and by mind, I'm just in my body. Well, it's it's a useful tool. It's a practical and necessary tool. And so it's here. You get to use it. It's available for your use. Wonderful. And let's bring your body on board too. Let's fully enter this human experience. Let's allow ourselves, right? Allow yourself to experience the human experience, to really appreciate, embrace, and enjoy what's here. Being able to enjoy even your own creations and manifestations, because no matter what you were able to create before, it feels like it was from this really strained, struggling kind of energy that came from the mind, because it was like trying to create something from an inauthentic place because you couldn't feel it. It just feels like strained manifestation, strained creating. So it's like you were able to create it, but it was limited in form or limited in some way because it wasn't really backed by the whole or the all of you. It was just all creation from the mind. And while those things can be manifested, obviously, it ultimately wasn't its highest potential, and it also wasn't fulfilling. So card pile 3. Yeah, so you guys are really getting some powerful and strong cards here, because it's like you might put on this brave face, this happy face. You might even want to believe that your life is fulfilling, or want to believe that your creations and accomplishments or manifestations have been fulfilling. And it's like you want, whether you were actually presenting yourself that way inauthentically, and that's okay, right? We're all human. You were doing your best. But it's like whether or not you were doing that on purpose, or if it was more like you really wanted to believe that, things are good, and it's like you wanted to believe it was all fulfilling and meaningful, whatever. You also recognize that this is really how you felt on the inside. So a lot of you have already been walking this path for a while. Again, really integrating all of this, recognizing the pain that's there, recognizing any kind of unresolved emotional energy. I don't feel like many of you are like right on the beginning stages of this healing and growth journey. I actually feel like you're in the middle. Maybe even further along, but you've already been working on some of this integration. You've been bringing this all into a unified place, but it's like recognizing, again, it's like there's this wounding here, and a part of your work is integrating these two parts of yourself. And what you're going to find, of course, is that eventually when you're able to fully integrate, this doesn't have as much power over you. But there also is a message here, which is a beautiful deck, and it's the first time I'm using this deck. It was a birthday gift, which my birthday is today. And so anyway, I'm sharing some of the messages today, which I often don't do, but it says strength of vulnerability. True power lies at the root of perceived weakness. True power lies. So there's something here for you. As much as you feel like maybe there isn't or there wasn't, whatever happened to you or whatever difficulties you faced, and it seemed so just impossible or difficult or monumental or whatever it was for you that maybe even shattered you and broke your heart in many ways, that there were gems here, there were opportunities to grow, there was purpose here. And a lot of it also, again, was just allowing yourself to feel, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to feel all the ways that you have felt. It was allowing this to be a part of your experience. So some of your work, card pile 3, was related to it's almost this acceptance or embrace of the human experience, or living in human form, of entering the body fully. And it's going to have its ups and its downs and its highs and its lows and its lefts and rights and whatever. But this is also where the fulfillment is. This is also where the joy is. This is also where the satisfaction is. This is where you want to be. Ultimately, you don't find meaning or fulfillment in anything else. Card pile 3, you've done it all. You've tapped out the resources of the mind. You've done everything you can from the mind. You're finding it's mostly empty, dry, mechanical, or just unsavory. And so you're realizing that. and you want to enter the body, you might even have recognized that and already seen some of this, and then I'm just bringing it to light for you and affirming it, and many of you, this might be new for you, but there's this opportunity to recognize that, yes, while it's vulnerable to be human, it's also where the fulfillment lies. And it's the only way to really enjoy your experience here is to enter the duality. And the duality comprises both light and dark, black and white, light and shadow. You're going to experience both the good and the bad, and that's just part and parcel to experiencing planet Earth. But if you want what you want, and card pile 3, I know you do, because you're someone who is driven toward fulfillment or deep satisfaction or deep happiness, that is something, that's important to you. You're also realizing that it's not going to come by taking up full residence in the mind and never entering the body, where your weakness or vulnerability you believe lies, right? This weakness or vulnerability that you see in here, and that in fact it can be, it can not only be a gift, right? There's gems and pearls even at the bottom of our deepest, darkest abysses or times or dark nights of the soul in our lives. Not only can good and purpose and benefit come out of these trials and tribulations and darker experiences, but that even, let's just say it even didn't. There was no pearl, there was no gem. Even so, there's no fulfillment when we're just taking up residence in the mind. So if that's what you want, you got to be willing to be vulnerable, to enter the vulnerability. To enter the vulnerability. Okay? I want to sit with this card for a minute too. I think there was another message. Just give me a moment here. So a lot of you, I just feel like that final message is a lot of you were suffering for a long time and just feeling a lot of pain. You know, tried to put on a brave face, tried to create what you wanted to create, but it's time to just really acknowledge the pain that's there and to simply just let it be there. Acknowledge the pain that's there and just let it be there, okay? And what I mean by that is, again, there's something in you that doesn't want to feel that or doesn't want to feel vulnerable or be vulnerable or whatever, and it's like you feel like you're weak or you feel low or you don't feel like yourself. Just letting that be there, recognizing that it's there, and then just seeing that gift of invulnerability. The gift of invulnerability then is fulfillment. Now there are multiple, I'm sure, gifts to vulnerability, and other ones I could come up with very easily in the reading, but the primary one here for you, card pile 3, is that fulfillment that you seek comes by way of vulnerability. Shockingly, okay? So you might not have realized that consciously. You certainly didn't unconsciously, because unconsciously you decided it was time to just live in the mind and safeguard yourself from all human experience, or, you know, the difficulty or the challenge or the strife. And yet, to experience the good, you have to be willing to also face, quote unquote, the bad. Okay. So circles, clarity begins in the eye of the storm. So again, allowing yourself to be there. Allowing yourself to be there with your weaknesses, your projections, your upsets, your disappointments, your pain, your strife, whatever it is coming up for you. There's, again, the opportunity for integration, bringing this all on board, just noticing when it comes up, acknowledging that it's there, and you know what? Being at peace with it. It's there, and so be it. And so what, right? Because you can be that eye of the storm. That's, you know, what's here. You can still move toward fulfillment, because while this card talks about clarity, I do see a little bit of fulfillment here, because I see a beautiful harvest, I see sunset, I see people kind of gloriously circling around a horse and a woman on the horse, and I mean, there's just so much beauty here. And so to me, this can very much represent satisfaction, fulfillment, and you know, that can happen even with these other challenges, even with difficulty. Like, think of the most brilliant, happy, fulfilled, or satisfied people or successful people on the planet. They're not troubleless. They're not problemless. They still experience the human experience. That happens for them. Like, that's a thing. But you know what? They still get to be brilliant and enjoy and experience happiness and be successful. And that's the message here. You know, entering the body, entering vulnerability, allowing the human experience, recognizing that with the good also comes what you might judge as, quote unquote, bad, but entering the body is where you're going to find the fulfillment that you seek, card pile 3. So that is your message, card pile 3. I'd love to hear your feedback and your comments, so do drop those below. And I also want to let you know, as always, that I do offer both card readings, personal card readings, as well as coaching sessions and long-term programs to support you in your life and your work and on your spiritual path. Thank you, card pile 3. Okay, card pile 4. This is messages from 2021 or how to manifest your highest potential in 2021. So you're going through change here. So many of you are moving through some kind of transition. This says power and strength lie within our surrender to change. So something wants to come through. Something new wants to come through. Things are only destroyed. Things are only destroyed when something new wants to come through. So how I even always saw evolution of a human or the soul, it was like like a movement of like this, we could say. I mean, I'm not able to give words to it, but if you're watching the video, you can see me. And like all of this stuff just, is being shed. Like all the layers or old energy or whatever is just clearing and falling off, just sloughing away very easily as the soul evolves. And so all of that to say, all of this new energy is coming in, which supports the sloughing off or the clearing out of the old residue that no longer serves, that doesn't serve the higher energy or whatever. All of that to say, whatever you've been going through, even if it feels bleak or dark, and I'm not getting huge amounts of that energy, but we do have this energy here, so that tells me like you're in that in-between phase when everything has ended, but also nothing has really come through yet, and so you might be right in between where it feels like nothing, and you might even be confused or be like, okay, and now what? But you have been through this big transition. You've gone through this change. You've gone through this transformation, and there's this message and this even yearning to remind you or let you know that what it is wants you, and all of this happened and was destroyed to bring about what it is that you want. You said you wanted this, and so everything's being cleared out. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing it as maybe this challenge or what was lost or all these things. You might be seeing it that way, but in truth it was like, no, all these things are coming through for you. That's why all that stuff had to go. Like what you wanted, you said you wanted something, and that's on its way, and in order for that to fully arrive and ground and manifest in your reality, all the other stuff is falling away, so that these lighter energies, frequencies, vibrations, if you subscribe to that kind of language or belief system, so it can ground into your field, into your body, into earth. So whatever change you're going through is not only purposeful but beneficial and going to be valued by you, because it's everything that you want, and in order for it to be fully brought to realization, all this other stuff is clearing out of the way for you. Okay, so let's move on to the next card. Right. Reality is rarely what we are raised to believe it is. Okay, so distorted perceptions, and I think what's coming through here for you, card pile 4, and I hope I've been saying card pile 4. I always say card pile 3 when I'm on 4. But it's like you, again, are really focusing on what was lost or what was taken from you, or the difficulty or the challenge or the strife or whatever that was very difficult for you in terms of your transformation. And it doesn't have to be deep, dark, and heavy, although for some of you it feels like it probably was. But again, some of you just haven't seen the light at the end of the tunnel. You haven't recognized the value that's on its way. You haven't recognized the benefits. So you're just like, well, F this. Like, why would I go through all of this, and for what? Because I'm like right in the middle and nothing's happening. So this is stupid, right? There's that judgment. And so it's like, well, reality isn't always what it seems. Like you're just looking at the world of form, but in fact, there's all this greater energy that's coming through that wants to manifest through you. And that's why all this stuff is falling away. It's ultimately happening for you. And for most of you, it's because you said you wanted something. So you set the intention, right? We are the creators, the children of God. You're a child of God. You get to say, I want this. And that does happen unequivocally. And the only thing that can get in your way ultimately after that is you. However, life will respond to those deeper impulses and intentions, especially if it's aligned with your higher potential, with what your soul wants for you, with what you agreed to as a soul prior to incarnating. It's gonna do it, and it's gonna do it fast often. So if you say, I want blank, right, and you've set some intention, and it was already in the books for you, and it's part of your greater destiny, it's going to happen. And you have to be able to recognize, or at least the guidance here is an opportunity to recognize that it's all happening for you, and you can trust that this is out of all the card piles, this is what came through most clearly for you, card pile 4, abundance. What you want is on its way. What you want comes. It arrives as a result of the shedding. So the shedding that you went through, or it feels like the final phase of, or like right in between, you've even completed the destruction, and you're kind of in the middle, waiting for the new reality to arrive. It only came through because of the destruction. So, there's even an opportunity for gratitude there, of like, oh my gosh, and you'll find out when it all arrives. But it's like, it wasn't as bad as it seemed. It wasn't as bad as I thought. It wasn't all just, woe is me and look what God has done to me, or whatever, right? It wanted to bring you this. And I love that it almost feels like his hands are outstretched. It's like, here you go. This is what you asked for, right? So it may not have been wrapped in a pretty bow, but everything that you wanted has been on its way and is on its way. And it was because of the transition and transformation that you went through. Okay, wisdom and play. Our intuition knows more than we do. Now, I don't know if I said it already for card pile 4. I don't believe that I did, but I am using a new deck today. I got it for my birthday. Today is my birthday, which is why I wanted to do a reading and share with you all. And so I'm taking a little bit more time with each of the cards and even reading them to you, and that gives me an opportunity to connect with the energy more deeply, and it's fun for you guys too. So wisdom and play, our intuition knows more than we do, right? And having the courage to grow again. Okay, so what it's saying here is, it's like allowing this to be a little bit more playful. Like, it doesn't have to be as deep, dark, and serious as you might have been taking it already. Again, because you have lost so much or dealt with so much or been through so much, you're just like, you know, you're just maybe even done, like tapped out, I'm all set, peace. All right? And not all of you are going to have that attitude, but that's just my wording to that energy. But it's essentially like allowing this to be a little bit more playful. Okay, then, the slate has been wiped clean. What do you want? What you want to do with it, right? What do you want to do with all this blank slate? This blank check, what you want to do, right? Have fun with it, play, enjoy, dream up worlds. What is it you would like to create? What is it you would like to experience? What is it you would like to receive? Just allowing this to be more playful and in jest, as opposed to like, oh my gosh, look at everything that's happened. And, you know, there's like this, you know, heaviness or just deep seriousness to card pile 4 in terms of everything that's happened for you. And I don't blame you at all, because most people, and including myself, having experienced that, would very much probably be in a similar position. But it's like, this can be more enjoyable. It can be more playful. Here you go. You get to have it. So now that you have this clean slate and you've cleared away all these old limitations and these things that were holding you back, or whatever it was that was in the way of what you said you wanted, now you get to have what you want. So start planting your seeds. And so it's like a garden, right? Start planting your seeds. Do you want financial abundance? Do you want a new career? Do you want a more expansive purpose path? Do you want to have a different kind of social circle? Do you want to have a different house? What kind of house? Where? Right? You get to play. Start planting those seeds, because you are in that path that space of the in-between, where it's like the old reality has died and ended, but the new one hasn't quite begun. For many of you, I'm feeling like some fingers. So it's like some things have begun, but you're like maybe on chapter 3 of the new reality. You're not on chapter 33, and you're certainly not on chapter 300, right? So you're kind of just at the very beginning. You still have plenty of opportunity to plant whatever heckin' seeds you want to, so you might as well plant those seeds, baby. What is it that you want? Because you're getting it. We already saw that. Whatever abundance, they're yours. And because you've done the work of allowing this to be cleared and letting go. Now, if you haven't fully let go and you haven't fully cleared, recognize that the soil would be a little bit less available to, like, if this soil isn't as fertilized, or like, right, if it's not as fertile, rather, it doesn't have like the fertilizer and all the things, right? I'm just kind of making this up, but as an example, it's like, you know, if you haven't cleared away all the weeds, it's going to be hard to plant the new seeds. However, here's the opportunity. Allowing all that stuff to let go, even the things you might still be holding on to for some of you. Not for all of you. Many of you have already moved on. You're like, where the heck's my stuff? Like, what was the point of all this? But some of you are still kind of holding on for dear life, because you're like, there's nothing left. Holding on. But let it all go, because that nothingness is exactly what wants to happen in order for you to plant these brand new seeds that then lead to this ultimate abundance. Oh my gosh. I could cry for you, card pile 4. Not only did you get these abundances, okay, these versions, which for me, plant, fertility, you know, saplings, seedlings, you know, you're putting those in the ground, and it's saying plant your seeds, and some of them are already growing. Okay, keep following the course, stay the course, let the old stuff go. You're on your way, let it all go, whatever, right? Not an issue, because all this stuff's coming through. Thank goodness. Anything that you want, name it, you get it. That's for you, card pile 4. But, right, the abundance card in the new deck, which is sharing. There is giving and receiving and receiving and giving. So what's coming through for me is, again, not only the harvest, again, but that abundance. And even, you might even, for some of you, you might end up connecting with your soul tribe or your spiritual community or the people that you want to surround yourself. There's also food here, so it feels like there's plenty to go around, plenty to share, plenty to receive. For some of you, this is customers and paying clients. I'm feeling that for some of you. All of that to say, you end up reaping the harvest. Like, you end up reaping everything that you wanted because you were willing to let go of all that stuff. You called it. Universe gave it. Now, if you're still holding on to some of that stuff, let those weeds go. Let those final weeds be pulled from that soil so that these other seedlings that are already planted or that you're currently planting can grow healthily and bountifully. And then what do you end up with? The ultimate abundance. Right? Okay, so there's, again, this final 2 clarifier cards that I pulled from the other deck. is guidance and postponement. Now, for some of you, what I'm getting for this is if you're struggling to let go, or you're struggling to see this through, you're struggling to stay on course, please get the help. You can ask for help from your guides, your angels, your spirit support team. You can ask for help from a mentor, a teacher, a therapist, but if you need it. Now, doesn't feel like for many or all of you. It feels like for a small minority of you, you might feel like you're just really struggling to, even though you're seeing this message as something that's refreshing and reassuring, you're feeling like invigorated, like, yes, okay, this is what it was for, awesome. But if you find you need more help, get it. Ask for the help, get the support that you need, make the moves that you need to help make this happen, to stay the course, to let things go, to start planting these seeds of abundance. Stop postponing. It doesn't have to be forever. It can be now. You just have to walk through it. You have to walk through it. You have to be able to leave this dull, gray, old stories and whatever, and experiences and old environments and people, whatever it is that was lost. Just let it go and walk through. You can walk through it any time to the harvest that's on the other side. That's going to be up to you. So card pile 4, that was your reading. Thanks so much for being here. I encourage you to share your stories or comments or whatever it is, feedback below in the comments. I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching sessions to support you in your life, in your work, and on your spiritual path. And I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 4.